Wait, please don't skip, because what you're about to hear will make you believe in miracles again. A girl was left for dead in the middle of nowhere, a cruel sign tied around her neck that read, "Useless mouth." But fate had different plans. Because a silent man on a lonely ranch saw more in her than the world ever did, and that moment changed both their lives forever. The sun was already unforgiving by mid-morning. Heat waves shimmered above the broken two-lane road that cut through the desolate countryside like a scar. Crows circled lazily overhead. In the dry brush beside the road, something, or someone, moved. Her lips were cracked, bleeding. Her face bruised. She wore a ripped floral dress smeared with blood and dirt. A crude cardboard sign dangled from a string around her neck. It read, in angry red letters, "Useless mouth." She didn't cry. She couldn't. Her tears had dried up 3 days ago. Her name was Callie. She was 17, and until yesterday, she lived in a house where love was a stranger and silence was safer than hope. Her mother had passed when she was 9. Her father remarried soon after to a woman who hated the very air Callie breathed. Her voice, timid, honest, gentle, was considered a threat in a home built on cruelty. Every time she asked a question, offered help, or even sang to herself while sweeping, she was punished. "Your mouth ruins everything," her stepmother hissed once. "You speak like you matter. But you don't." By 16, Callie had learned to cook, clean, take beatings, and hide her pain. Her voice became quieter and quieter, until eventually, she stopped using it altogether unless spoken to directly. But 2 days ago, she made a fatal mistake. She spoke up. Her stepmother's son, a boy 2 years older, had cornered her in the kitchen while she was washing dishes. She screamed, loud enough that the neighbors might have heard, if anyone had cared to listen. When her father got home, she thought maybe, just maybe, he'd believe her. Instead, he slapped her so hard she saw stars. Then her stepmother dragged her out of the house in the middle of the night, drove her to the edge of nowhere, threw her out of the truck, tied a sign around her neck, and left her under the blazing sky. "She's useless," her stepmother spat before speeding off. "Let the desert swallow that mouth of hers." Callie didn't remember falling asleep, but she remembered waking up to the sound of a horse snorting. A shadow towered over her. Not harsh, not cruel. Still, solid, calm. A man on horseback. He wore a wide-brimmed hat that shaded his face, a denim jacket with the sleeves rolled up, and dusty boots. His face was quiet, his eyes unreadable, like weathered stone. He didn't speak. Callie tried to sit up but winced in pain. Her ankle was twisted, her lips swollen. The man looked at her, then at the sign. His eyes lingered on the words, "Useless mouth." He reached down, ripped the string gently from her neck, crumpled the sign, and tucked it into his saddlebag. Then, he extended his hand. Callie stared, unsure if she could trust it. But something in his stillness felt safe. Like he didn't expect her to prove anything. Like he saw her, but wasn't judging. With trembling fingers, she took his hand. He lifted her onto the horse, wrapping an arm around her so she wouldn't fall. He didn't say a word. The ranch was miles away from town, nestled between dry hills and rusted barbed wire fences. Horses ran freely in open pastures. A red barn stood proudly next to a modest house. The porch creaked, the windmill spun lazily. The man helped Callie down, careful not to touch her bruises. He walked her inside. The air smelled of wood and warmth. He poured her water and pointed to the bathroom. She nodded gratefully and limped in. She expected rules, questions, demands, but he simply left her be. By nightfall, she was tucked into a clean bed. Her ankle was wrapped, her wounds disinfected. The man slept outside on a hammock, under the stars, as though giving her space was more important than comfort. In the morning, there was a note on the kitchen table. "Name's Eli. I don't talk much. You don't have to either. Stay as long as you need." It was the first kindness she'd known in years. Days passed. Callie spoke very little, but Eli didn't mind. He worked the ranch from sunup to sundown, feeding livestock, fixing fences, riding out into the hills to check the herds. He wasn't young, maybe mid-30s, but he moved with a quiet strength. One day, Callie limped outside and asked if she could help. Eli didn't answer. He just handed her a broom. She smiled. A real one. Every day after that, she worked beside him, cleaning stalls, washing buckets, feeding chickens, and every night, she'd see a new note on the fridge. Nothing long, just simple things. "Good work today. Chickens like you. Fix the fence. Watch the corner. Nails still sharp. It became their language. She'd leave him little notes too. Jokes. Drawings. Questions about horses. One evening, after she helped deliver a calf during a thunderstorm, she left a message that simply said, "You saved me. Thank you." She found his reply tucked under her plate the next morning. A single word. "No, you saved yourself. Dash dash dash." One night, Callie sat by the fire pit, looking up at the stars. Eli handed her a mug of cocoa and sat across from her. "I used to sing," she whispered. Eli looked up. "I stopped because it made them angry." Eli reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something. It was the crumpled sign, "Useless mouth." But he'd written something new on the back. Powerful voice. Callie felt something crack open in her chest. Not pain. Something warmer. Brighter. Like a seed waking up. "You think so?" she asked quietly. Eli nodded. Then, for the first time since she arrived, he spoke. Just one word. "Sing." Callie's breath caught. The night was still. The moon full. The fire flickered. She opened her mouth and sang. At first, her voice was shaky. But then it grew stronger. Clear. Melodic. The kind of voice that could hush a storm or stir the soul. Eli closed his eyes, listening. When she finished, she looked at him. His eyes shimmered. "You're not useless," he said. "You're a miracle. You saw what happened when one quiet girl found safety in the unlikeliest place. But now, her voice, once silenced, will become the one thing that saves the man who rescued her. What happens when the rancher who never spoke is the one who now needs saving? Keep watching, you won't believe how it ends. Dash dash dash. 3 months passed on the ranch like leaves falling in autumn, slow, natural, beautiful. Callie began to glow with a quiet confidence. The bruises faded, but the courage remained. She started humming while feeding the chickens, laughing when the goats stole her boots, and baking bread that smelled like cinnamon and sunlight. Eli said little, but watched everything. He had become her guardian, though he never claimed the title. A man of few words and fewer expressions, yet his every action spoke volumes. Every morning, she found his scribbled notes waiting for her like gentle handshakes. Wheat is low. Use the barley. Horse likes your singing. You fixed that fence better than I did. He never once asked her to explain her past. And she never asked about his. Until one day, she saw it. Dash dash dash. She had wandered into the attic, chasing a kitten named Dusty. There, beneath a stack of old crates, she found a dusty box labeled, Thomas Ranch. History. Inside were newspaper clippings, photos, and a Medal of Honor from the military. And at the bottom, a crumpled newspaper article with a headline. Local soldier returns from war, chooses silence after tragic loss. Her heart sank. The photo showed Eli, younger, smiling. The article said he had served in Afghanistan. During his final tour, a landmine took the lives of his entire unit, including his younger brother. Eli was the only survivor. They said he never spoke again after returning home. Dash dash dash. That night, Callie waited on the porch steps. When Eli returned from feeding the horses, she stood and met his eyes. I saw the article. He didn't flinch, just looked at her. I'm sorry, she whispered. A long silence. Then he handed her a note. My voice died with my brother. Haven't wanted it back, until now. Callie felt tears spring to her eyes. I don't want to be your voice, she said. I just want you to know, you helped me find mine. He nodded. His eyes softened. That night, for the first time, they sat in silence together, not because they had nothing to say, but because they finally felt heard. Dash dash dash. But just as healing began, so did the storm. Dash dash dash. It came in the form of a letter. A thick, cream-colored envelope sealed with a red stamp. From the State Land Reclamation Department. Eli opened it at the breakfast table. His hands trembled slightly. He didn't speak, just passed the letter to Callie. She read it aloud. You are hereby notified that your land is subject to forced acquisition due to unpaid back taxes totaling $147,000. If the amount is not paid in full within 60 days, the ranch will be auctioned off. The words hit like a punch. Eli leaned back, silent. Callie couldn't breathe. This ranch wasn't just a piece of land, it was Eli's sanctuary. Her rebirth. Their shared quiet world. We can fight this, she said, though her voice cracked. Eli simply wrote, tried, lost the court case last year. Didn't tell anyone. He stood, folded the letter, and went to feed the horses. Callie sat there for hours. She had to do something. Dash dash dash. Over the next 2 weeks, Callie did what she never imagined she'd do. She spoke up. She went into town, gathered donations, spoke to old ranchers, youth clubs, churches. She wrote letters to local newspapers. She posted a video online, her face lit with sunset, her voice trembling but strong. "Hi, my name is Callie. I was left for dead, but someone saved me, not with words, but with kindness. Now, that man's home, the ranch that healed both of us, is about to be taken away. Please, help me save it." The video went viral overnight. Thousands of people shared it. One comment read, "My son came back from war and stopped talking. This story gives me hope." Another, "We don't know him, but we see him. Count me in." Within 10 days, donations reached $52,000. But it still wasn't enough. Dash dash dash. The 60-day deadline came closer. Eli began selling tools, livestock, anything he could spare. One morning, he walked up to her with a small envelope and a look that crushed her. "I'm selling the ranch truck." "No," she said fiercely. "It's not over." But his eyes said he'd already given up. Callie stared at him, this man who gave everything, asked for nothing, and now quietly accepted the loss of the only place that kept him alive. And something in her cracked open again. She stood up, grabbed her guitar, an old, half-broken thing she'd found in the attic, and walked out the door. Dash dash dash. The town's summer fair was that night. Callie stepped onto the small stage wearing a sun hat and boots too big for her feet. Her hands trembled. She looked into the crowd, small at first, mostly curious strangers. Then she saw Eli, standing at the back, arms crossed, still, but he was there. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and sang. She sang a song she wrote the night before, Under the Stars. A song about silence, and pain, and healing. About a man with no voice, and a girl who found hers. About a place where broken things were made whole again. By the second verse, people were crying. By the end, the entire crowd stood in thunderous applause. Eli didn't clap, he didn't cheer, he just smiled. The first smile she'd ever seen on his face. Dash dash dash. 2 days later, a lawyer showed up at the ranch. He wore sunglasses and a sharp blue suit. "I'm here on behalf of Mr. Jacobson, the country musician," he said. Callie blinked. "What? Your performance went viral. He saw your video. He paid the entire amount owed, and added a personal gift." He handed her a check. Eli walked over, confused. Callie looked at him and burst into laughter and tears. "We did it," she whispered. Eli looked at the lawyer. "Gift?" he asked, his second word in months. The lawyer smiled. He said, "Every powerful voice deserves a place to echo." Dash dash dash. The ranch was saved. They didn't just keep it, they expanded it. A year later, it became the Haven, a recovery home for veterans and teens who'd suffered abuse. A sanctuary built by two people who once thought their voices didn't matter. Dash dash dash. One afternoon, Callie found herself standing by the gate, watching a group of kids ride horses with veterans beside them. Eli walked up, chewing a blade of grass. She smiled at him. "Remember what they called me?" she said, teasing. He raised an eyebrow. "Useless mouth." He shook his head. "Liars." She laughed. "Do you remember what you wrote instead?" He nodded. Then, for the first time in a year, Eli looked her straight in the eye, and said aloud, "You're not a useless mouth. You're a voice that changes the world." Dash dash dash. And now, dear viewer, if you believe that no one is ever truly broken, if you believe that kindness still exists, and if you believe in second chances, please like this video, share it with someone who needs healing, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us all. The quietest voices can become the loudest echoes, when someone finally listens. Yellow Heart.